I'm very unconventional.
Really, really funny.
Determined,
Visionary.
independent,
Mysterious.
I think I'm passionate.
committed,
Effervescent.
Chipper.
Hi, I'm Prathama. I'm a mother to two beautiful daughters, a wife to a tech innovative guru. I'm the daughter of my parents who are my role models, and I'm a brat to my two sisters. I love to sing, I love to dance, and I dance to the tunes of my team, whom I really love. And this is all what makes me who I am.
International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, political, and cultural achievements of women. It is also a day that marks a call to action for achieving greater gender equality. Today, my guest is Pratima Salunke. She is the Vice President and Head of Human Resources at RECEM RPG. She also heads the Diversity and Inclusion Council for RPG Group companies. Welcome to Leader Talk.
Thank you, Sumit.
So this year the theme is Each for Equal, which is all about collective individualism. Equality is not really just a woman's issue. It is a business issue, it is a larger issue that concerns all of us. Now, it is widely acknowledged that gender equality is essential for communities and economies to thrive. A gender equal world is healthier, wealthier, and harmonious. Yet in India, our biggest challenge is the abysmal participation of women in the workforce, which is in fact one of the lowest in the world. Pratima, keeping all these factors in mind, I want to ask you, is India ready to hire women?
I think India is quite ready to hire women. The recent news that you've seen in the papers is you now have women in the commanding positions in the army, which has never been the case in so many years. That's the most toughest job you would expect a woman to do. So if the army and the Indian army is ready to hire women at leadership roles or in difficult situations, I think it's a great example for corporates to incorporate that. Having said this, I think in the last 4 years journey of RECEM RPG and also RPG as a group, we moved from 14% of women to 25% women. This itself shows that most of the organizations are ready to hire more women. So while Each for Equal is a challenge even today, because you'll see that as an issue with pay scales, you'll see that as an issue with the kind of roles offered to women, but I think it's a good start. I think we're pretty much there. There's a lot of effort definitely required. We have a lot of constraints around patriarchal family structures, societal expectations from women. But having said that, I believe as a D&I lead that there is a scope, there is some opening up happening there, but of course a long way to go.
Organizations today talk about being contemporary, having progressive policies. Why did it take the government of India to kind of crack the whip and go in for a 6-month maternity leave? Most corporates would usually give a 3-month. It took the government to bring about a change in legislation.
That's a very interesting point because frankly we do call ourselves very, very contemporary organizations, but
It's not about us, it's about in general.
yeah, fair enough. So it's when I say us as an Indian corporates. So I believe none of us have done any kind of research to really see what is that the child needs till the time he grows up and what is that cutoff time when the child is okay to be without the mother. Now this is more biological than anything else. So I think there's great amount of research which happened when the government declared this. Organizations, while contemporary, did not really think in that direction. Nobody wanted to do any kind of data research. So obviously the government took the first step, and I'm glad they took that first step because it is proven out of a lot of research which has happened in India and outside India that a child's psychological safety is up to 6 months. So it is more, and I think that's something which all corporates needs to understand. I know there's a lot of inconvenience when a woman is away for 6 months, but at the end of the day, it's the next generation that you're really creating. It's that set of workforce you are taking care of now as an organization. So I'm sure that 6-month-old is definitely going to get into corporate sometime of his life or her life. So I think it's a well taken decision. I wish it had come from corporates, but I think somewhere we just overlook the fact that what is really the need? Is it more to give comfort to a woman, or is it more the need for the child? So I think we completely missed on the need of the child.
Okay, that's a very interesting point. Why does the gender gap still exist in Indian corporates? We do not see many women on the company boards also.
Well, you don't, again, it goes back to how we are structured as a society. What values do we really hold close to our heart? And when I say that, a lot of women today definitely prefer looking after their child as a first priority than really making up a career. There's also a sense of huge guilt which women carry. Say that, oh, I'm going to leave my child and go back to work. So that's where we lose most of the women to families. So I personally feel that if we as an organization are able to create an environment where the woman can take care of the child even while at work, I think that number will definitely increase. That's one point. Second thing is, in the Indian context again, and also frankly globally, I wouldn't want to really hold India up to it, but globally, how many chores do men take up at home which will allow a woman to go back to a career? So if the load is completely going to be on a woman by the so-called role expectations, then you wouldn't really see many women in the corporates. So it's not that the corporates are not ready. It's the women themselves who would want to make that move. They need to really, bug themselves up. And also the society, the ecosystem needs to be very supportive.
So the words old boys club, the glass ceiling, they're words, they exist. What does it require for a woman to succeed in today's India Inc. corporate? Yeah.
A lot of it. Again, frankly, I know it might sound very repetitive, but the fact is we are in a different culture. We do, very few of our leaders have their wives who are working across organizations.
So that's a very pertinent point you make.
Yeah, because as a man, let's say, I've never seen a woman working. I've seen my mother at home. I've seen my wife at home. And then suddenly I'm faced to see a woman at work who is going to be equal or probably senior to me, or maybe even a subordinate. I don't know whether I'm ready to understand what it takes to work with another woman. I see, again, a lot of progress, definitely, which has happened over the past few years, but there's a long way to go there. Now, this is an understanding which a woman at a workplace needs to have. Do I work with people who understand this, that I have responsibilities back at home? So if I want to succeed as a woman leader, it's my responsibility to make sure people understand my responsibilities back at home also.
So it needs sensitization?
A lot of sensitization. I also feel women need to have ambitions. They should not feel guilty about having ambitions. And I think inherent strength of a woman is to nurture, right? And that is one strength she should definitely have in her leadership style. Because if it's something which is natural to you, it's the best strength you have, and that's what you need to really use as your ace when you're operating in either leadership position or as a manager. I've also seen women not speaking up. And a lot of it is dominated by the fact that men don't realize there's a woman in the meeting room and she also wants to say something.
But hold on, sorry, I'm interjecting here, sorry, it's a very important point you made. It's again my observation, my conversation with people, when women speak up versus when men speak up, men are seen as aggressive, pushy, women are seen as difficult. Why is that?
Yeah, so that's where the nurturing part comes in, right? How am I really putting across a point? Am I just being very adamant about a point? Is that how I'm coming across? Or am I coming across as somebody who's wanting to make a sensible point, and can you hear me out? So I think assertiveness, subtle assertiveness, if I may use the word, speaking up, sharing your opinions, having confidence in sharing your opinions is not something which naturally comes to a woman, right? So these are the skills one needs to have to be successful in a corporate environment.
Many women whom I know have lost out in their career trajectory because of maternity. And what would be your advice to those women who want to come back to the corporate life after their maternity leave is over?
I think
those who have taken certain amount of couple of years sabbatical.
See, again, as I said, corporates are more than happy to have these women. In fact, I was speaking at one of the forums at FICCI, and I realized that a lot of women were really apprehensive of the fact that they're going to take 2 years of maternity leave or extended leave after maternity and come back to the organizations. I kept telling them, and I still strongly feel about it, that it's the best time for you to come back to the corporate. You've taken care of your duties at home. You've taken care of your child. It's the time where you can really focus on yourself, build a career for yourself, have the right ambitions, and support your ambitions with a great learning. So I personally feel that's the right time, and they should take that chance to make it happen. Organizations are opening up to a lot of flexibility. You know that we work on flexible hours. We have great policies to support women. Even if, let's say, she wants to take care of children or take care of elders, we have a short sabbatical policy. So I think organizations like ours are doing a lot to accommodate them. It's time for them to have aspirations and come back to the world.
What would be your advice to organizations which are, let's say, we have great policies for having women on board, but what about organizations which do not have women on board but have this in intent to get more women leaders on board? What should they do? What would be your advice?
You have to tap the right talent. There is enough in the market. There are many, many women who want to come back. You have to show the inclination to open up, to show flexibility, to allow them at times to work from home, understand what are they best suited for in your organization, do a lot of manager sensitization, help men understand what it is to work with women, especially who are returning, we call that the second career. So there's a lot one can do in the place of sensitization, helping them aware, making them aware. Also try and do role plays for men. Let them do a role play at work of a woman leader, and let's see how they react to it. And these kind of smaller things when they do for if they do, I think the organization will be ready to take many, many more women.
Okay, interesting point there, because that means men have to take care of the home as well as the office, and that is the role play which
Absolutely.
is needed. That's a tough one indeed. Okay.
Sensitization sessions include that.
Are we doing something?
Well, we're doing a lot of sensitization where we recently experimented where we did a theatre-based sensitization workshop, and we did some acts out there, and we took the audience opinion inside. And you would be really surprised to see that even men wanted to support a particular chore which a woman was doing. Especially I see this in the younger generations. A lot of my daughter's friends, for example, who are in their 20s and mid-20s, they do a lot of work which you would otherwise not expect a man in India to do. So I think the generations are definitely changing. We, our generation, our senior generations, and maybe a couple of younger generations need to now open up.
Thank you, Pratima, for coming on Leader Talk. It was wonderful to have this conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
We all want a happier world, but unfortunately, men have not been able to provide a happier or a safer world. I'm hoping we don't just see a change, but we see a transformation in attitude and belief system in our traditional notion of patriarchy.
You have to be a fighter. You have to be a resilient woman.
It's a balancing act, but it's a sense of immense satisfaction.
Having to prove ourselves day in, day out in the corporate environment and to constantly push for our rights.
Challenging yet comfortable. I think it makes me confident and gives me an identity.
So it seems to be a constant battle where you have to prove your worth, make people understand to look beyond gender and treat you fairly.
It gives a feeling of empowerment.
Extremely trying, but empowering at the end of the day.
Empowering, challenging sometimes, but it takes a little time and effort to make your mark.
It's really challenging, and I think it's a crash course in patience.
I think that women can and should break through the glass ceiling.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller.